Hey everyone, welcome to the investor.bet Saturday Racing mini preview. This is a weekly series that I want to bring back for 2026, where each Friday I go through and give you an insight into what it's like to make money from betting on horse racing by going through and previewing my first betting race from two tracks. So in this video, we're going to go through my first betting race from Caulfield and Randwick for tomorrow. And I'm going to share with you why I'm backing those horses, go through the runners so you can really see the research that goes into every single bet selection and what it takes to make money on horse racing. The good thing is horse racing compared to sports is actually the most profitable per dollar you can bet on, even without promotions when I line them up for myself. But if you have promotions on horse racing, so any of those bonus back for second or bonus back for second and third, then you can make 4 to 5 times that as well. So it's a really good way to make profits from your betting accounts and consistently withdraw money every single month. On the website, you can go through the results. So I've been betting full time for 14 years. In late 2021, I started helping other people profit from betting as well. Every single bet that I've ever shared is documented on the website, and it's following a completely low risk sustainable strategy. Currently in week 6 of 2026, we're at 41 units profit. Last year, 2025, we made 353 units profit, which if you're a $50 bettor, that's $17,650 profit. And the best part with racing, from the moment you join the investor.bet Racing, you also get the 100 unit member profit guarantee. As you can see, right now we're at 41 units profit. My members will make way more than 100 units every 12 months. And if it's something that you're interested in, you can actually go on the website. You can see every single bet for the last 4 and a bit years, the results of every single bet, the track, the race, the odds we took, everything that was tracked from each of those race days that I update after each race day. You can go back through if that's something that you're interested in. Coming up tomorrow, I'm expecting around 22 bets. There's a couple of races that I still need to finalize after I record this video before I send out all the bets to members. But the first 2 bets that I currently have 100% locked in for tomorrow, we'll get to those right now. So the first of those is Caulfield race number 2. This is over the 2,000 meters. The track currently at Caulfield is rated a good 4. The rail is out 8 meters. And this race that we're focused on here over the 2,000 meters, the starting position for that is just outside the home straight. So the first couple of 100 meters of the race is around that bend, just past the winning post, and they come right up along the side here, around onto the straight where the shoot start is, and then around into the home straight. The weather conditions for Caulfield is fine tomorrow afternoon. The wind is picking up a little bit later on in the afternoon, so it shouldn't really be having too much of an impact in the early stage of the day. But as you can see, this is the home straight here at Caulfield. So the wind is coming across from right to left as they go along the back, and then is behind them from the shoot start and left to right in the home straight. So when analyzing a race, I'm obviously going through every runner because I want to make sure that I can narrow a race down to ideally 1, worst 2 to 3 selections. And in that case, then it would be a betting race. So that's why on a Saturday when there's around 50 races or 50 metro races going on, we're not betting race to race in all 50 races, or we're not looking at Caulfield and betting all 10 races at Caulfield or anything like that. I'm going through and carefully selecting which race to bet into. So this is one. So currently you have the 3 Suntour, who is favorite, then Magnaspin, Barclay Square, and Make It Sweet. Those are the 4 that are $8 or less, and then the Slade, Mix It, and Midnight Glow, all $17 or above in the current odds market, to give you a perspective of that. So going through this race, realistically, Suntour does tend to stand out here, and I want to share with you why that is the case. So we backed Suntour last start, which was over this track and trip in a benchmark 78. The final margin there was 4.25 lengths to active duty. Now, the third place Stylish Secret, who was beaten 4.5 lengths from that race, has come out and won since. So that's already a good tick with the form. Suntora ended up drifting and starting around $4 in this race, which was some real crazy stuff with a market that massively surprised me. Suntora is stepping up in grade here from that benchmark 78. Now it shows 57.5 kilos that it carried there is actually 54.5. So for this race, drops now down to 51 kilos. So a 3.5 kilo weight drop from that last start win to account for the step up in grade. Now, it's very easy to use Sportsbet to watch replays now. Basically, unless you want to watch a jump out for Victoria, you can basically get all the replays very quickly without having to switch sites through the Sportsbet website. So definitely the absolute best feature. Now, this is Suntora's last win a couple of weeks ago over this track and trip. Now, the key negative for it in this race was the wide draw from this starting position. It was one of the runners drawn wide, as you can see it there in the pink and navy silks. If we just get to the start, but you can see Jackson Radley positive early in the first 3 in running and is able to slide across and end up dropping in 1 off the fence, but is caught 3 wide during this early part of the race, which is very important to note with runners going forward, that they did have a tough run during the early part of the race. Ends up settling 3rd last. So in the 3rd pair running an 8-horse field. Stays in that position through the rest of the race. They're going at an even or so tempo, maybe just a touch above average as they come up towards the home turn. You can see starts to get off heels and build into the race. Stylish Secret in the blue silks right there had a perfect run in transit. That's the horse that's come out and won since. And Suntora goes straight past Ben Melham on Stylish Secret, whilst Jackson Radley still hadn't moved. He starts to liven up Suntora as it's already gone to the front under a hold, and then extends away over this final 50 meters. But a very soft win, and obviously going to be very hard to beat stepping up in grade. It's run prior. I also want to mention this because this is how we can tie in some of the other runners. So at Flemington over the 1800 meters, ran 3rd behind Tarview, and I Only Wish came out and won its following start at Pakenham. It also goes around in race 1 at Caulfield tomorrow, so you'll get another reference there for I Only Wish, but I'm not really worried about it. It's a bit of a hit and miss horse, but the fact it came out and won its following start after finishing 2nd between Tarview and I Only Wish. Then Tarview is the interesting one that we can use to tie in Magnaspin. So I'll bring up Tarview's form. So it beat Suntora in this race over the 1800 at Flemington. Keep in mind, Suntora was back in trip that day, going back from the 2000 back to the 1800 and just couldn't quite sprint with them. Tarview won. It then jumped from 1800 meters to the 2,520 meter distance at Flemington. Substantial step up in distance, jumping over 700 meters. Tarview had a good run in this race, sat midfield, but coming at the 1,000 meter mark, Luke Cartwright jumped into the 3 wide line. He did have a back to follow at that stage, but then at the 800, as they're kind of building towards the turn. Now remember, from the 1,000, they're on a turn at Flemington all the way around into the home straight. He then jumped into the 4 wide line and started to make a sustained run from the 800, 4 wide, no cover, all the way to the line. Kick clear at the top of the home straight, but the Tio Nugent, who was on Dictionary, who ended up winning the race, he was parked just in behind the leaders. He let Tarview go past, came across heels, and then took virtually the whole home straight at Flemington to pick up Tarview in those last couple of strides as Tarview peaked right on the line. So still a very good follow-up run after beating Suntora. That start prior, especially with the step up in distance and a wide run there. Definitely an overall huge performance. They elected to then come back to the 2000 at Caulfield following this with Tarview and was beaten 3.8 lengths, running 6th behind Magnaspin. Tarview got in 3.5 kilos lighter than Magnaspin in that race, so you can reference it from that perspective, but also keep in mind that when Tarview beat Suntora, Suntora was carrying 4.5 kilos more than Tarview that day. Now, this is the key right here. Magnaspin beat Tarview that day by 3.8. Magnaspin is on the quick backup, winning over this track and trip last Saturday, where Jamie Melham was able to roll to the front from barrier number 5 and get complete control. She was able to just do her own thing out in front, control the race on a day where the fencing run at Caulfield was a major advantage, and she was able to hold on and win by half a length over Jenny's Meadow. Now, Jenny's Meadow and Magnuspin are both also tied to Berkeley Square and both beat home Berkeley Square last time. So that ties in. But Magnuspin here had every possible, and also Tarview in that race had the box seat in the run. Luke Cartwright gave from barrier number 1 Tarview a perfect run. However, coming back from a 2,500 meter race, making a long sustained run and peaking late, coming back to a 2,000 meter trip, and then they went super slow and then just couldn't quite quicken when the sprint went on. I can definitely excuse Tarview's performance based off of those factors. So with that in mind, I'm not super worried about Magnuspin having an edge over Suntora, having beaten Tarview when Tarview a couple of starts ago beat Suntora when I weigh in all those factors. And I also do think both those horses have Berkeley Square covered. Berkeley Square won back-to-back Ballarat Cups 2 starts back, was 6 weeks between runs, but never really came on at Flemington over the 2,000 behind St. George. You had Jenny's Meadow and also Magnuspin in that race. So I'm happy to be against Berkeley Square. It also has a really poor record at Caulfield, 13 starts for just the 1 win, and also tends to go better on rain-affected tracks. And you could say a similar thing as well for Magnuspin. Last start was its first win from 7 goes at Caulfield, and also tends to go somewhat better on slightly rain-affected tracks as well. The other runner in the market, Make It Sweet, third up into the prep. It's had 2 runs over the 1,600 at Flemington. Now gets to the Caulfield 2,000. Last preparation was beaten in both off its starts at the Caulfield 2,000. In technically slightly tougher races than this, so it's definitely not without a chance, but I'm just not super keen on the jockey booking here for Make It Sweet with Jai McNeil going on. I'm just a little bit cautious of this horse. You've got runners that have been running over this trip where it's stepping up, so it's going to have to really improve dramatically at this stage of the preparation to be able to beat the first few home. So I am against Make It Sweet. It will get a good run from barrier number 4 though. Then coming to the map for this race, Suntora from the inside gate. I'm expecting Jackson Radley to be positive from the low draw. There is quite a bit of pace. You have Slaney who wants to go forward, and then Magnuspin who want to roll across from the widest gate. I'm hoping that Jamie Mellum is able to get right across here and get to the front, and then Suntora can slide up underneath and get the box seat from there. Especially with this starting position being on a turn, I think there's a good chance that could eventuate. If Suntora is 3 back the fence, it's not ideal. Worst case scenario though, it's only a field of 7 runners at this stage. It should get its opportunity to get in the clear, and at the end of the day, wasn't fully tested last time out, and definitely had more to give. And so if it is held up a touch, hopefully can get the run in time to be able to go out, chase down Magnuspin, and as long as Berkeley Square hasn't gone around and been off and gone at that stage when he gets into the clear, but is getting 10 kilos off of Berkeley Square in with 51 compared to 61 kilos, so it's very well suited from that perspective. So it'll, at this stage, is expected to be my first betting race at Caulfield. As I said, there's going to be about 20 to 22 total bets for Australia-wide for tomorrow. The next betting race is at New South Wales, the Randwick meeting. I'm not interested at all in race number 1, but I am keen to bet in race 2, which is the highway over the 1,200 meters. At Randwick, we'll bring up the track map. They start out of this shoot start along the side here and into the home straight around the turn. And then fine conditions for Randwick tomorrow. The wind does pick up a little bit later in the day, but it's nothing major. And once again, this race early in the day shouldn't have much of an impact by the weather. The wind is coming right to left from this shoot start, so it'll be coming across them and then slightly into their face in the home straight as well. The Randwick race 2, it was a capacity field, 24 runners with 6 emergencies, so there'll be 18 starters by tomorrow afternoon. And so potentially at this stage, we've had 2 scratchings. There are still all the emergencies in the field. So at this stage, Lightning Speed and Star Prediction have a run, and Smoke on the Water and Below are all yet to gain a run. But we're going to start with a field of 18. The horse that I like here is number 12, Autumn Break, who returned from a spell where it went 3 from 3 in its debut preparation at Wagga, and then 2 wins at Albury over the 1400 meters. It's trialed up on the 19th of January, and it won that trial by just over 3 lengths and was pretty dominant. This is a horse that definitely looks to have ability, has been ridden by Brittany Button in all 3 career starts so far. She has about a 9% win rate long term at the provincials and country meetings. And we get Tim Clark doing the steering. Currently drawn in barrier number 6 with Pony Soprano being scratched. Is a chance to come in maybe 1 or 2 other gates depending on scratchings from this point going forward. So no matter what is going to be drawn perfectly from there, which I think is really ideal, as it gives Tim Clark options whether he wants to really try and go forward on this horse or ride it with a sit. It's 3 career starts so far. I want to show you these because I think there's a lot you can gather from them. So the Wagga run on debut over 1200 meters on a heavy track. This is a replay. You can see the conditions were really poor. Just bring it back just a touch. Autumn Break, 3 wide, no cover in this race. Just behind the lead, does have a little bit of cover, which is beneficial. But remember, 3 wide in its debut race on a heavy track definitely is not ideal, that's for sure, as they come around into the home straight. And you can definitely see the conditions really poor there at Wagga on this day with the heavy 9 conditions. Pushed off the track a little bit by the horse inside that ends up running second, but those 2 settle down to fight out this race. And one thing you want to look for is margins through the field, and you'll notice that they both really clear out from the rest of the field. And Autumn Break is very tough here to edge out the other runner who had the better run in transit over this final 100 meters with big margins back to third. The horse that it beat that day in Lady Yarrow, its following starts after that, it was generally around the mark, running seconds and thirds, but has won at Sapphire Coast twice since then. It had 2 runs at Albury, which was off a little bit of a freshen up, about 6 weeks between runs. The first one, when starting $1.60 favorite here, sat outside the lead this day and was a very dominant win, running right away with it with over a 3-length margin in a class 1 there. Very impressive performance there for it, running right away there. Do note that the second horse was the horse leading the race, which I don't always love, and then back that up with another 4.5 length win as an odds-on favorite, this time at Albury, once again into a class 2. This time had the box seat in the run, so got a really nice run in transit, was able to slide across heels here and push the horse that's out, one back across to get the run on Autumn Break, and runs right away with it again to post another dominant win. It's trailed up once going into this run. We'll speed this along a little bit. As you see, runs right away from them, eased up on the line. The trial leading into this first up run went forward, sat outside the lead up in the trial, and traveled really well under very little light riding here as well, and nice and strong to the line there over the 900 meters. The fact that it won twice over the 1400 meters last preparation and won on that heavy track on debut over 1200, there should be no issue here with the 1200 meters first up. Ideally, you don't want to get caught outside the leader or 3 wide from this gate. That would be worst case scenario, but either leading the race or 1 out 1 back would be the ideal spot here for this runner. Do feel they may look to ride with a touch of cover, but it'll be up to Tim Clark early whether he wants to take that. Sometimes in a large field, if there is a big go for the lead, you don't want to be caught in that battle. But either way, it's going to be able to be right there in the spot that it needs to be when they come around into the home straight, and just hopefully hasn't had to do too much work early. And also like when horses that are lightly raced are generally good out of the barriers, which this horse has been, and can hold a forward position, that definitely gives them options. As I mentioned, it is a really big field here. There's horses that have done some decent stuff in their career so far. Martini Mama gets the inside gate. It's pretty much the only other runner in the race that has some decent form that is drawn well, but off a 3rd placing in this very similar race in its first up run back on the 24th of January. It's going to have to improve again. Had barrier 12 that day, drawn a little bit better. Do feel like at $15 is a touch of overs. And then outside of that, majority of the other chances, like Saturn Stiletto, drawn out in barrier number 24. It's a horse that like kind of has been around the mark this preparation, but it's going to have to do it very tough. It'll come into barrier 18 or less, depending how many are in the final field, but no matter what, is a very tough ride for Tommy Berry from out there. Excessive Force doesn't have a jockey listed yet, but drawn tricky in barrier number 15. Lady Elena finally broke through for a win this preparation last start at Canterbury over the 1200 meters. Was ridden by Braith Knock that day, and he had barrier number 8, and he absolutely nailed the ride on this horse. Gave it a 10 out of 10. Has barrier 12 for Aaron Bullock tomorrow, so that makes things definitely tricky. Rose has McDonald on board for the first time, but gets barrier number 13. Struggled up to the 1400 meters last start after settling up on speed, and now comes back to the 1200 meters following that, which it won at Wagga in a class 1 by just under a length with the 60 kilos as a $1.45 favorite. If McDonald gets the ride perfectly, this horse is better suited at the 1200, but I still feel like it's a little bit out of reach. And if Autumn Break turns up to what it did at the end of last preparation, then it's definitely the horse that I want to be on. It's only a highway, so it's going to be a minimum staking race for me of 1 unit, but it's the first betting race at Randwick for tomorrow. So those are the 2 races: Caulfield race 2 Suntora and Randwick race 2 Autumn Break. At this stage, those are my first 2 betting races at Randwick and Caulfield for tomorrow. If you want to see everything I'm betting and have the strategy that you can easily follow to make money every month on horse racing, just go to the link in the description for the investor.bet racing show. There is the link to check out all the results for yourself. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and good luck with your bets tomorrow on the horse racing. Other things going on right now in full swing of the NBA season, and we're getting close to the beginning of the NRL and AFL season on this channel. I'm not only going to be posting like horse racing videos going forward, but just like last year and the year before, there'll be NRL previews, AFL previews, going through all the stats that you need to know before placing your bets on those sports. So make sure you subscribe for all that betting information that you need to have. There'll also be the NRL betting guide coming out hopefully next week. I'm going all guns blazing, trying to get this done as soon as possible. The last just over a week or so, basically in this room, been in here on the computer, writing up all the pages, looking at about 600 pages for this year's NRL guide, full breakdowns on every team. Some nights, I look out that window and then the sun's coming up. It's 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I probably should call it quits for the night, but just trying to get the information out as close to the season as I can, but also with enough time for you guys to use it to prepare for the season. So I'm really excited for that. There'll also be some videos going through some of the really interesting stuff that I found from putting together the guide as well, which is going to be really important for your analysis of these teams and what you can do with your betting decisions this season. So super excited for it. Really appreciate you guys watching. And also I'm going to have a Super Bowl preview as well. The Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. I'm going to break down some of the stats so you can make the best bet on the Super Bowl as well over the weekend. Thanks guys. I'll see you in that video soon.